Stop the cycle of New Year disappointment. This isn't another generic goal-setting video. We're about to expose the inferiority complex trap, a hidden pattern that's quietly undermining your every effort. Prepare to gain the clandestine knowledge that will finally allow you to build genuine self-acceptance and achieve lasting success in the new year. What I'm about to share with you isn't common knowledge. It's a psychological framework that's been hiding in plain sight for over a century, yet most people will go their entire lives without understanding how it secretly controls their ambitions, their relationships, and their capacity for genuine achievement. Here's what they don't tell you. Every single New Year's resolution you've ever abandoned wasn't a failure of willpower. It was a symptom of something far more profound, something Alfred Adler discovered in the early 1900s that the self-help industry has been carefully avoiding ever since. Adler uncovered a disturbing truth about human psychology. We don't fail because we lack discipline or motivation. We fail because we're trapped in an invisible cycle, one that actually requires our failure to maintain its existence. This is the inferiority complex trap, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. Think about your last failed resolution. Maybe it was fitness, career advancement, or breaking a destructive habit. Now ask yourself this uncomfortable question. What did that failure allow you to avoid? What uncomfortable truth did it let you escape? Because here's the secret. Your subconscious mind engineered that failure to protect you from something it perceived as even more threatening than disappointment. Adler understood that every human being begins life in a state of genuine inferiority. As children, we are literally smaller, weaker, more dependent than the adults around us. This creates what Adler called the inferiority feeling, a natural, healthy recognition of our current limitations that drives us toward growth and mastery. This feeling is the engine of human development. But here's where the trap springs shut. Some of us don't develop past this feeling. Instead, we crystallize it into an inferiority complex, a fixed, rigid belief system that says, I am fundamentally lesser than others. And once this complex takes root, it doesn't want you to succeed. It can't afford to let you succeed, because your success would destroy the very identity it's built around your inadequacy. Now, this is where it gets truly fascinating and deeply uncomfortable. The inferiority complex doesn't just make you feel small, it does something far more insidious. It flips into what Adler called striving for superiority, but not the healthy kind. This is compensatory superiority, a frantic, exhausting performance designed to prove you're not inferior rather than a genuine pursuit of excellence. You've seen this pattern before, maybe even in yourself. The person who sets impossibly grandiose New Year goals, not because they genuinely want to achieve them, but because the mere setting of them temporarily alleviates the gnawing feeling of inadequacy. The goal isn't the point. The fantasy of the transformed self is the point. This creates a perverse incentive structure. You need goals big enough to fantasize about being someone completely different, but you also need to ensure on some subconscious level that you won't actually achieve them. Because if you did, you'd have to face the terrifying truth that you were capable all along, that the inferiority complex was lying to you, that you wasted years of your life serving a false master. So your psyche engineers sophisticated self-sabotage mechanisms. You pick goals that are vague, overwhelming, or incompatible with your actual lifestyle. You refuse to break them into manageable steps. You don't tell anyone about them, eliminating accountability. You wait for perfect conditions that will never arrive. And when you inevitably abandon these goals by February, the inferiority complex gets to say, "See, I told you that you weren't good enough." This is the trap. The cycle repeats annually, and each repetition strengthens the complex's grip on your psyche. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You're caught in a psychological architecture that's been operating below your conscious awareness perhaps for decades. But Adler didn't just diagnose the disease. He provided the cure, and it's so counterintuitive that most modern psychology has completely missed it. The way out of the inferiority complex trap isn't through achieving superiority. It's through something Adler called Gemeinschaftsgefühl, social interest, or community feeling. Here's the radical shift. Your inferiority complex thrives on isolation. It needs you to believe that life is a competitive hierarchy where you must prove your worth by climbing over others. It requires you to see success as a solo performance where you're either superior or inferior to those around you. This framework is the prison. The escape route is recognizing that human worth isn't comparative. You're not in competition with other people for a limited supply of value. Your goal isn't to become superior. It's to become useful, to contribute, to find your unique way of adding value to the collective human project. When you shift from, "I must prove I'm better than," to, "I want to discover how I can contribute," something miraculous happens. Failure loses its existential threat. A failed goal no longer means I am inferior. It simply means, that approach didn't work. What can I learn? The stakes plummet from ontological catastrophe to practical feedback. This is why Adlerian psychology remains so revolutionary and so suppressed by mainstream self-help culture. Because if you embrace this framework, you stop buying the endless stream of products promising to make you superior. You stop chasing the fantasy transformation. You start doing the actual, unglamorous work of incremental contribution. So let's get practical. How do you actually apply this clandestine knowledge to escape the trap in 2026? Here are the protocols. Protocol 1. Expose the complex. Before you set a single goal, you need to audit your motivation. For each potential resolution, ask, am I pursuing this because I genuinely want this outcome, or because I'm trying to compensate for feeling inferior? If your goal begins with, I'll finally be enough when I... Stop. That's the complex talking. That goal is a trap disguised as ambition. Protocol 2. Reframe from superiority to contribution. Instead of, I want to lose 30 pounds so I'll be attractive, try, I want to have energy to actively engage with my family and community. Instead of, I want to make 6 figures so I'll be successful, try, I want to develop skills that solve real problems for people. Notice how this shift removes the comparative element. You're no longer measuring yourself against others. You're measuring yourself against your capacity to contribute. Protocol 3. Embrace microscopic progress. The inferiority complex needs dramatic gestures and fantasy transformations. It's allergic to small, consistent action because small actions don't feed the superiority fantasy, but they do create actual change. Your protocol. Identify the smallest possible step toward your contribution-based goal. Something so small you'd be embarrassed to tell people about it. That's your target. Do it daily. Watch the complex starve. Protocol 4. Cultivate horizontal relationships. Adler emphasized horizontal rather than vertical relationships. Vertical relationships are based on hierarchy. Someone is superior, someone inferior. These relationships feed the complex. Horizontal relationships are between equals, focused on collaboration rather than competition. Your protocol. For every goal you set, identify at least one person you can pursue it with rather than against. Make success collaborative, not competitive. Protocol 5. Practice courageous imperfection. Here's the secret weapon against the inferiority complex. It demands perfection because perfection is impossible, which justifies never starting. Your protocol. Deliberately do things badly. Post the imperfect content. Submit the rough draft. Have the awkward conversation. Every act of courageous imperfection weakens the complex's grip because you're proving that your worth isn't contingent on flawless performance. This is the knowledge they don't want you to have. Not because it's secret, but because it's threatening to an entire economic system built on selling you the fantasy that you're inferior and need their product to become superior. The inferiority complex trap is real. It's operating in your life right now. But unlike other psychological patterns, this one has a well-mapped exit route. Adler gave us the blueprint over a century ago. As you move into 2026, you have a choice. You can set the same fantasy goals designed to prove your superiority, watch them crumble by February, and strengthen the complex's control. Or you can do something truly revolutionary. Accept your current limitations as natural, reframe your goals around contribution rather than compensation, and take small, consistent, collaborative action toward becoming genuinely useful to others. The trap is real, but now you see it. And what you see, you can escape. If this framework has activated something in you, if you feel that shift happening right now, then you're ready for more. Subscribe to Wisdom Activation because what you've just experienced isn't an accident. This channel exists for people who are done with surface-level advice and ready for the psychological frameworks that actually restructure consciousness. Every video here is designed to expose one more hidden pattern, to hand you one more key to the prison you didn't know you were in. This is just the beginning of your activation. The gate is open. Step through and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next awakening.